All right, guys. So today we're going to be checking out a brand new pair of clip-on style open ear earbuds. Now, the pair that we're going to check out today are the Crosskey C30. Now, this is from the company QCY. We checked out their Mellow Buds Pro recently, and the value that you got in those pair of earbuds was insane. So I kind of categorized them into that Soundpeats earphone category. So I was really curious to see what they could do with this style of earbud. So the Crosskey C30, again, is that clip-on style. We've seen Bose kind of make this more mainstream with the ultra open ear earbuds, but because it was Bose, it was super expensive, and I don't really feel like the value was in those. Now, the Crosskey C30 only come in at $36. They are available in 3 different colors. You have a purple, a black, and a white. And at $36, I think this is definitely one of those pairs that people are more likely to try out to try to get into this style of earbud. And for me personally, I actually think this is going to be kind of the future that earbuds go into, more of the open ear style. So people could just use them in their day-to-day life and not just have to like isolate themselves from everything else. I mean, you can hear everything around you because these don't use ear tips. They don't even go in your ear canal. They just kind of sit over your ear canal and use speakers to point directionally into your ear canal to give you audio. So again, you could wear them if you're out running or riding a bike or even at work where you still need to hear phones or people talking. It's just not shutting you off from everything else. And I think that's the appeal to a style like this. Now, from a design standpoint, the case is very simple. No matter which color you choose, all 3 cases have a matte finish. They don't show fingerprints, which is a huge plus. But when it comes to the earbuds, we're going to call them earbuds, this is where it gets a little interesting. They are using a glossy plastic, but also a silicone material. And because of the glossy look, it kind of makes these feel like earrings, like they're jewelry. I think it's kind of bringing attention to what you're having right there in your ears. But I think as this becomes more mainstream, I don't think people will probably think much about it at all. And maybe it's just all in my head, but it's just personal preference. And I wish they just went with like a matte finish here. Now, the glossy part on the back part that sits right behind your ears, that is where your touch controls are located. Now, out of the box, you don't get control over everything, but luckily QCY does have an app, which obviously will allow you to keep these earbuds updated. But it does allow you to switch around controls so that you can have control over everything. And I understand why they didn't give you controls over everything out of the box. They basically disabled single tap. And that's because if you're going to move these around and you have the single tap function on, it's going to be very easy to accidentally touch the back of the earbuds and cause it to pause your music or skip your tracks or whatever. But I have to have control over everything. So I did turn on the single tap function to at least give me the play and pause. Now, also within the app, you do have some EQ options. I personally just like the EQ setting that it had it on right out of the box. You can go in and customize the EQ settings the way that you want to. You can actually go into the app as well and turn down the touch sensitivity or even turn it up if you want it to be more sensitive. You can also go in the app and turn on the gaming mode. So if you want to cut down any kind of lag with gaming, movies, TV shows, you would switch it into this. You can also go in and turn on a spatial audio mode. And this is where I normally say that spatial audio is a gimmick in most cases. I'm just not a huge fan with using it listening to music. This is a little strange. I think spatial audio actually works very well with this type of design because this type of design is made to kind of make you think you're listening to your music like really out in the open with your environment. And the spatial audio kind of adds to that. I don't feel like it feels as much as a gimmick with this style of earbuds as it does a normal pair of earbuds that use ear tips. So maybe this might be winning me over when it comes to spatial audio, but still I use them most of the time with the spatial audio turned off. And then this pair also has a sleeping mode. Again, they're taking into consideration the sensitivity of the touches. So the sleeping mode just turns off any kind of touch controls. So you can lay on your head, lay on the side. It's not going to have anything accidentally touch the controls. And the next time that you put the earbuds back in the case, it will turn the controls back ons. Now, as far as like technical specs on these, they do have Bluetooth 5.4, which means this pair also has multi-point connection. You can connect to more than one device at a time. As far as the drivers they're using a 10.8 dual magnetic driver. Most designs like these have to use larger drivers because, again, it is competing with the environment around you, but it's also having to kind of like amp things up a little bit or give you more bass presence because this style of design usually is not known to replicate bass very well. But we'll talk about that in a second once we get to the sound. Now, as far as using these outdoors, it does only come in with an IPX4 rating. I don't like this decision mainly because this style of earbud is basically telling you you could use these all day, which means you should be able to use them outside if it's raining, or in the gym if you're like sweating heavily, or even by the pool, or maybe even in the pool as long as you're not dunking your head in. IPX4 kind of like scares me away from some of those things. Now, it's going to be fine against rain, splashes, sweat, things like that, but you definitely cannot drop these into water. Now, when it comes to what they've included inside the box, this is super simple. This is not a pair of earbuds that use ear tips, so there's none of those. There is a USB-C cable, which you do have to use this for charging because the case is not a Qi wireless charging case. And speaking of the charging, I think battery life for the most part is going to be completely fine for most people. It is 5.5 hours on the earbuds themselves, and with the charging case, you can really look to get about 30 hours total. But where I think the problem is, or at least for some people, are going to be the ones that like to use them all day. Like if you're at work and you want to listen to something from like the time you clock in till the time you clock out, for the most part, you're looking at 8 hours. These earbuds can't give you 8 hours. In fact, I would say it's more so kind of closer to 5. You're like 5 to 5.5 hours. So you are going to have to keep in mind at some point during the day, you're going to have to throw them back in the case to charge them back up. Now, as far as using them for phone calls, again, I think this is going to be important because you're going to use these pretty much all day. It says that they have noise canceling on the mics, which means it's trying to block out a lot of your surroundings and kind of focus a little bit more on your voice. But you guys can judge the quality by listening to a test here. So here is a quick mic test using the Crosskey C30s. Right now I am indoors. There's no noise of any kind going on. So this is just to kind of give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test with a crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the overall sound. Now, one of the things that they advertise is that these have a bass enhanced algorithm. You can actually feel a vibration, just a slight vibration. It's not like bone conducting where it's relying heavily on vibration, but just having the sense of vibration makes you think you're feeling bass. And for the most part, it actually makes you think you're hearing bass as well. I felt like it did a really good job of replicating that punch of low end that you're used to with normal earbuds. I felt like it also did a really good job of making sure that didn't affect the mids and the treble, because the mids I felt like really stood out. It felt like it was bumped up a notch or two. So it's kind of like the vocalist just kind of stepped a little bit more in front of the instruments being played behind them. It's very upfront. It's very clear. It didn't matter if it was male or female vocalists. I never had any issue hearing one over the other. And then when it comes to the treble, there's actually a lot of detail here as well. And it stayed detailed, again, no matter what I was listening to. I could go from classical to country to easy listening to pop to hip hop to metal. And some of these genres are very simple anyway, so it's usually going to come through extremely clear on pretty much anything. But when it came to metal, because the bass is more replicated, it felt like it was kind of crazy that you could feel the double bass of the drums, and it never just subdued the mids or the treble. It never took away from anything else in the sound. Now, another area where it was not necessarily a surprise, the soundstage and the sound imaging, because of the design, it definitely had this really open feel. And again, if you go in the app and turn on the spatial audio, it opens it up even more. And then being able to tell where sounds are coming from, it was just never an issue with this pair. So really, my overall opinion is this. From a value standpoint, they're going to be hard to beat. I mean, you are kind of missing out on some things. I mean, this pair doesn't have any kind of special Bluetooth codec playback. I mean, it really is AAC and SBC, which is the standard Bluetooth codecs. There's no fast charging on this pair, at least as far as any information that I've seen. And I'm not a fan of the glossy look. And it's more so because it kind of draws attention, but it also is going to draw fingerprints. I mean, you have to touch these things, and gloss is going to pick up all of that. But if you can look past those few minor things, what you're getting when it comes to a solid connection, you're getting multi-point connection. You're also getting something that I feel is really comfortable. I mean, this pair has to kind of feel like something you can wear all day. And I never had an issue when it came to this. And another huge plus, and something I didn't actually talk about, is because of the directional audio and the placement of the speaker, these don't leak hardly any sound at all. So you're hearing them loud, but nobody around you is able to kind of pick up on what you're listening to, which is a huge plus. And the huge selling point on these overall is the sound quality. For an open ear style design, I would put these up against Apple's AirPods. I would put them up against the Bose Ultra open ear earbuds. So this is a very interesting pair, and I think QCY is making a very good statement when it comes to value in what they're releasing. The Mellow Buds Pro was a hell of a buy. I definitely think the Crosskey C30 is a hell of a buy. If you're somebody that has a normal pair of earbuds where you can't use them at work, or you don't really feel comfortable using them when you're out for a run or walk because you can't really hear the things around you, this pair kind of fills that void and allows you to listen to music and podcasts and shows and all of that in situations where you can't really use those other ones. So I think it's worth having, even if you have a regular pair of earbuds that you use every day. But guys, that wraps up my video on the brand new QCY Crosskey 30 open ear clip-on style earbuds. I don't know what we really call these yet, but thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.